Here we go. We got workers' comp, and the Workers' Compensation Act is a set of laws designed to protect employees who are injured or become ill due to work-related causes. We're going to see that this is going to be within the scope of the employment. It's a mandatory insurance program that requires employers to provide coverage for all eligible employees. Workers' comp ensures that injured employees receive Medicare or medical wages, wage replacement, and other benefits without having to sue their employers for negligence. Facilitates the whole process, right? You don't have to hire a lawyer or know anything about the law. You can just get this workers' comp. You go through the government, helps you out a lot in that. Fortunately, I've never had to deal with this. I don't know. Hopefully, none of you have had to deal with this either, because that would mean you've been injured. But let's talk about some key aspects of the compensation benefits. Well, first off, employers must provide workers' compensation to all eligible employees, regardless of their job type. So, yeah, I'm working an accounting job, sitting in an office. The worst thing I have to do is pick up a computer monitor, but I'm still getting coverage. Employers are still required to provide this coverage, like we mentioned, through the marketplace or through a private insurer for workers' compensation coverage. Obviously, much more risky to open up a manufacturing plant than it is an accounting firm in terms of physical harm to employees. Now, yeah, regardless of job type or duration of employment. So you work there for a day, you get injured. You work there for 10 years, you get injured. You're still going to be covered. Workers' compensation offers various benefits, including the cost of prosthetic devices, burial expenses, and monthly payments to surviving dependent children of employees who have died due to work-related causes. Like I said, this exam is quite down. It's a little depressing, but these are the laws, and these laws are here to help protect us. We've got workers' compensation does not cover the full pay during the disability period. Instead, it provides a percentage of the disabled or injured employee's wages based on state-specific rules and regulations. You don't get your full pay. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. I don't know if it's enough money or not enough. I can't say. Workers' compensation benefits typically end at retirement age or may be provided as a lump sum payment. The amount recovered depends on the extent of the injury. Just things you know here. Anything past this, we don't need to know. An employee cannot collect workers' compensation benefits for injuries resulting from intentional self-inflicted actions. That's up for the agencies to decide. We don't need to know, is this a self-inflicted injury or not? That's not something, it's our job to determine here on the exam. However, employees can collect benefits for injuries caused by negligence, even if they fail to comply with their employer's rules. So even if you're not following the rules, you're on the job. If there's negligence on the behalf of the employer, you can still collect those benefits. This ties in, I'll talk about negligence, all our business law stuff. We got a lot of that throughout the exam, right? Prior lessons. Obviously, that's a whole nother thing, so we saw that already. If you're going in order, if you're not, as long as you get through everything, right? Employers should prioritize workplace safety by ensuring safety personnel are available and by implementing proper safety protocols to minimize the risk of work-related injuries or illness. Illness, right? If you're working in the coal mines, right, you can get some lung diseases. I mean, that's something right there. That's an illness, not an injury. I don't know the legal differences between illness and injury, but you can imagine pretty easily what the difference is. All right, a few more slides and we will be done here. So here are a few key aspects of workers' comp. Employers are strictly liable on the hook for work-related injuries or illnesses, regardless of fault, as long as the injury occurred within the scope of employment. Now, this is within the scope of employment, meaning I was doing my job and I got injured or sick. So I can't say if you get the flu on the job, and you could trace it back to being on the job. I can't say you'll be eligible for workers' comp. It just seems like something much more common. But again, that's not something we need to worry about. But if you crush your foot and you can't walk anymore because something on the job, you're walking around the office, falls on your foot, then yeah, you pretty much slam dunk be eligible for workers' comp. This means employees do not need to sue their employers to receive benefits. Third-party lawsuits, while employees cannot sue their employers for work-related injuries, they can sue third parties if those parties played a role in the injury. If there's a cleaning company comes to clean the office and they knock something over and crush your foot, you could sue that third party. That's beyond the scope. This is just employer-employee related. The injured employee does not need to be completely disabled to be eligible. So it's not like they crush your foot and you can't walk again. Maybe they just crush your foot and your toes are crushed and you can still walk. You don't need to be completely disabled. Obviously, that'll go into the calculation of how much you'll receive and some other things that we don't need to worry about. This is employer funded. It's funded solely by employers. Employees do not contribute to the system. Employees are eligible for workers' comp regardless of their insurance type. So it's not up to you to worry about making sure you pick the right insurance plan or type or anything like that. Employers can deduct workers' compensation expenses as an ordinary business expense. This is something you probably see throughout our corporation lessons, thinking about, okay, the employer has to pay for insurance. Well, that's a tax deductible expense. The injury does not need to occur on the workplace premises. It only needs to happen within the scope of employment to be covered. If you are crossing the street because of your job, because you need to go somewhere and you get hit by a car, yeah, that's within the scope. Your employer said go across the street and deliver this to another building. That's within the scope. I mean, think about it. There's plenty of jobs where you're always on the go, you're always on the road or something like that. Does not need to be on premises, on site. But if it's within the scope, and we covered, what scope is very much throughout all of our business law. Lastly, here, workers' comp covers only employees, so independent contractors such as agents may not be covered. I mean, man, if you're starting a company, you can see why it's hard to want to hire employees. The amount of liability, the amount of extra expenses to hire employees, it's a lot. So if you're thinking of starting a business, take all these into consideration. Like I mentioned early on this entire course, seeing like, okay, if you can take anything else from this past just what you need to know for the exam, you ever think about starting a business, not saying you shouldn't, but just take all of these factors into consideration. Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.